welcome. I'm Antonina Antosha, and you're watching UATV. We're broadcasting from Toronto, Canada, where the conference on Ukrainian reforms is currently underway. UATV, together with Agri-Team Canada, is launching a series of special interviews dedicated to the effect of Ukrainian reforms. Today, we're going to be talking to the reforms of women empowerment. And together in the studio with me is Natalia Karbowska. She's a director on strategic development in the Ukrainian Women's Fund. Hello, and thank you for joining.
Hello.
So, first of all, let's divide how bad is Ukraine in need of women empowerment reform?
Well, it's a very good question. Unfortunately, so far, women are not present in Ukraine in the processes of development reforms, and therefore women's interests are not included. A very concrete example, decentralization reform, which is presented by many stakeholders, by the government, as a very effective one. We agree it's very important and it's very much needed. But the question is how inclusive is this reform? For example,
so how inclusive is it?
We think women's rights organizations, we think that it's not inclusive yet. For example, in the new amalgamated communities, when they are joining together, several villages are joining together, they are obviously there is no need to keep several schools or kindergartens or health facilities. So there is a need to close them, and usually those who are working in these facilities are women.
Right.
So what's happening with them? They are often left without jobs, without any economic guarantees and opportunities. So
how do
this
we
is
solve
the
this
challenge.
problem? How do we solve this problem?
How do we solve this problem? We have to be aware of this problem at the initial stage of the reform. We have to plan for this. We have to budget for this. We have to plan different programs on additional qualification for women, create new jobs for them so that they are not left without jobs. And this good reform is really inclusive and is really about all citizens, all those who are not visible maybe, for those who are planning and making reforms now. There are many examples like this. There are also successful examples of how...
Please share.
The successful is the reform in security and defense sector, and the famous story about Invisible Battalion, about 63 new jobs that were opened for women as a result of advocacy campaign of women's rights groups. Because before, when the war started, women served in the army as volunteers, but without any guarantees, without any professions. Many professions, even such simple professions like photographer, for example, women were not allowed to occupy these positions. So as a result of this advocacy, such professions were opened for women.
Well, the motto of the reform is to create fair environment for all Ukrainians. Now, do you think that this is a realistic goal to actually achieve within some years, that women and men living in Ukraine would have equal rights?
Yes, we do believe in this, and this is why women's rights organizations exist. This is why many of us joined the movement, and we think there are many, good steps in this direction. And actually, even the participation of women's rights groups. There are 5 of us here for the first time at the Ukraine Reform Conference. We are present together with government, together with other civil society organizations. We are talking about the needs of women and about the importance of including the perspective of women into reforms. And well, our voice is not heard as much this time as much as we would like it to be heard, but it's just the beginning. We are working together, which is also very important. We are working with we are building alliances with other civil society organizations. We are talking to the government, giving them advices on how we would like to see the reforms, how we would like them to be inclusive, and what are the benefits of the inclusiveness of reforms.
How open is the government to such conversations?
Well, I would say it's just the beginning of the conversation, but the good thing is that Ukraine now has a national machinery on gender equality, and there is a position in the Cabinet of Ministers of Government Commissioner on Gender Policy. And the commissioner, actually, her name is Katerina Levchenko, she came from civil society, so she understands the needs and she understands the environment. So she's our voice in in the government. Also, many civil society activists, women activists, are now in the election participating in the election campaign, running for an office. So we hope there will be more women in the new parliament, and their number of women will also transform into the quality of the decisions that are made. This is also actually one of the important reforms that we discussed together with reanimation package of reform, and we wanted to include our recommendation, and I know it's included in the sectoral briefs and in the Toronto principles, the importance of women's participation in decision making. We would like to have quotas in the new election law, because we think that this is the measure that will help to bring new quality to the decision making.
Women in politics, Ukrainian women in politics. How will Ukraine, the new generation Ukraine, benefit from the enlarging of number of women in politics?
Well, it's obvious the decision will be based on the needs of 54% of the population. The decisions will be fair and transparent, and international experience actually shows this a lot. Take the experience of Norway, for example, or Sweden, where social policies are really those that are beneficial for all members of the society. And when we are talking about women's rights and gender equality, we do not only mean women, we actually mean the whole society, because we think that men will. It's not that just we think, it's obvious that men will also benefit from this. Also, a very concrete example from a small community in the east of Ukraine, where my organization, Ukrainian Women's Fund, works. There was a kindergarten in this community, and it worked only based on the seasonal principle. So it worked in summer, but not in winter. So there were a lot of challenges for mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers in these communities. What to do with the kids? They were not able to work in winter because what to do with kids?
They needed to take care of the kids.
Exactly. So we partnered with women there, active women there, who advocated for the local government, because in the decentralization reform there is more money in communities. So they advocated with the government so that the government provided more funding to these kindergartens, so that it started to work in winter as well. Yeah. So this means that women and men can work. This means together, exactly. This means that they bring more taxes back to the community, more money back to the community, and obviously the families are happier, right? So this is the example how gender equality, how protecting women's rights, something that sounds as a purely women's issue, is actually beneficial for the whole community.
Thank you so much for coming here. Obviously, you have a lot ahead to do. There are challenges, but women are strong in Ukraine and they will overcome it. Thanks again.
Thank you.
That was Natalia Karbowska. She is the Director on Strategic Development, Ukrainian Women's Fund. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned with UATV. We're broadcasting from Toronto, Canada, where the Conference on Ukrainian Reforms is currently underway. Stay tuned.